What is going on, everybody? It's another episode of the Puff and Ponder podcast. I'm your host, Kevin, and look who comes sliding. He must have been watching, and then just Pete Rose slid into
I did.
there, and my co-host, Kerr Viajante.
You're a stickler on that start
Cigars.
time, Kev. That's what I love about
Yeah.
you. My apologies for being 30 seconds late.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, technically, should be on about 10 minutes early. So you're about 10 minutes and 30 seconds late. But that's just nitpicking.
Well, listen, Kev,
I'm just picking nits.
I still follow that guideline, but I don't take it as serious as I used to because you can't make me run laps. You can't make me run laps like they did at my coach. But it was like, listen, if you're here for a 7 o'clock meeting at 7, you're late.
Yeah.
It's always 10 minutes, 10 minute time.
Yeah, my dad, if you're 10 minutes early, you're 15 minutes late.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. I used to love the guys at work. And it's usually the kids, they'd come strolling up like 5 minutes before like their scheduled start time. We try and tell them you can clock in 15 minutes early every day, 5 days a week. You can pick up a little bit of extra time in your paycheck. But they'll 5 minutes early, and then they'll spend 10 minutes getting on, get their uniform on, getting their shoe, whatever. And the next thing you know, it's like 10, 12 minutes. Like Dunkin' Donuts is next door. So they're clocking in. So then they get dressed and they go over to Dunkin' for a coffee, and they wonder why I freak out. It's like I come dressed in my uniform. All I do is I put my work boots on because I leave them at work, put my belt and back brace on. I'm ready to go. These kids, I don't know. Shake.
That's great.
And of course, hold on. I gotta send Jessica a text. Let me put my. All right. One, tell everybody what you're enjoying tonight, and then I gotta send Jessica a text. I got.
Well, Kevin, you can't listen. You do what you gotta do, man. I can talk. You got it, bro. Shit, I don't have a cutter. I think I'll. No, I'm actually gonna enjoy a Big Tony tonight. This is a Mexican San Andres and Maduro barber pole. And a little bit of celebration, man. It was good to see the Beagles win last night. So gonna talk a little bit about football, a little bit about the Super Bowl. We got commercials, we got halftime, we have a record dynasty setting, whatever, was completely blown apart by those boys from Philly.
Well, no, by the ineptitude of the quarterback.
No, Kev, that was not ineptitude. That was fear.
Yeah,
that is exactly, as a defensive player, that is what you want to do. You want to rattle that quarterback so bad that they don't know whether to shit or go blind. And the Eagles front four did that. So before we get into that, what are you smoking, bub?
Did you say what you were smoking? I'm sorry, I had.
I did. Yeah.
What are you smoking tonight?
I'm smoking a Big Tony. I said the Mexican San Andres and the Mexican San Andres and Habano Maduro wrapper.
Right on. I am smoking not from what I picked up, but this was my a 5-pack of the Grace O'Malley Pirate Queen. That nice. I picked these up when we were at Ybor City back in December. They gave us like a 5-pack to try out to see how well they were being infused. So we let them go. We just picked these up yesterday. The lounge smells like the inside of a spirit barrel. It is. It is in. I wish he offered me the whole barrel, because he broke the top.
I would have taken it.
And I'm like, what am I gonna do? Even Jessica's like, you better take that barrel. I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with the barrel. That barrel could have made this lounge smelling fresh for the next year. So
you could have just done your own shit. I would have taken that barrel, dude. I was going to ask you if you took the barrel, because I do want to talk about the great news that you the super barrel, no Super Bowl, you had a super barrel.
Super Barrel, yeah. So we went up to Tampa, up to the guys at Single Barrel Cigar Company, and we picked up the Grace O'Malley Pirate Queen cigar that we've had them barrel aging, I think like 91 days or so. They've been in that barrel, and it was a new process they did, and there were some people that were concerned on if there were any cigars that were going to be damaged, because instead of standing the barrel up, they laid it on its side. Then I've been telling people, I go, it's not like a hot dog rotisserie. It wasn't just tumbling like a rock tumbler. The guys would come in about every 2 days.
Every 2 days, and they would move the cigars throughout the barrel in order to continue the airflow, as well as continuing to take in the beautiful bouquet of the alcohol that was in said barrel.
Yes, I've got to take this call, Care. I am so sorry.
Okay. Keep going.
Give me a minute.
So while Kevin takes his call, I'm going to talk a little bit about some Super Bowl. So, and I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening. So I'm from Pennsylvania originally. I'm from a small town, Lebanon, which is probably say, center-ish, leaning more towards that Philly area, and that lovely Lebanon, Lancaster area, the Amish and everything. And probably about a good hour and a half outside of Philadelphia. And so I grew up with Philly sports. We just did. My dad's a big Philly fan. Whether it's the Phillies, the Eagles, the Flyers, the big hockey area. So I'm a big hockey guy. The Beagles. So I always grew up around that. I'm personally a Rams fan, a Los Angeles Rams fan. So there's a long, crazy story of that. But I've been a Rams fan since I was like 8 or 9 or something. But always has Philly sports. So I always root for the Eagles. So and even when the Eagles played the Rams, it was tough. I rooted for the Rams, but I was glad to see the Eagles win. So leading up to this game, there was a lot. Kevin is invisible tonight. I could do fake Kevin, but I don't want to hurt his feelings. But so leading up to this game, it was all about the Chiefs. And listen, Chiefs have had a great season. They're a fantastic team. They got great players. I don't care what you say about Taylor Swift, whatever. You know what? I'm glad she's at the games. I'm glad she's sitting there. What's up, Chad? I'm glad she's at the games. I'm glad she's supporting her boyfriend. I think that says something. That is, to be that famous and to not have 2 F's to give, to actually be at the game and support. I think that's fantastic. I think that should be celebrated, not mocked. But the media takes it and they run with it, and it's goes crazy. But nonetheless, fantastic team the Chiefs have, and everybody's been hyping up this 3 Super Bowls in a row. These 3 Super Bowls in a row. I personally think that there is a major breakdown in that team's ability to handle the pressure of the moment. I think that the Eagles actually came out, were well coached, and can show you what a good group of athletes, really solid athletes, but no big, bright superstar, especially on defense, can do when they all come together. That defensive display was one of the best defensive displays I've seen in a long, long time. To know that they had that many sacks, that many rushes, and caused him that much problems, and they never blitzed. I don't think they blitzed to the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I was going to look it up last night, and I completely forgot. Saquon Barkley, was he with Penn State? Is that where he's from? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. I saw the name, and I told Jessica, and I'm like, oh, because it was getting late, and I was tired, and I'm like, where do I know that name from? And I go, is that and then I forgot to look it up.
Yeah, he's Penn State, and just great guy, great running back. And the Chiefs came prepared to shut down the Eagles' running offense because the Eagles are a running team that has a solid quarterback that throws as well. And they shut him down. They did. They did a great job of shutting down the run. However, Jalen Hurts got some good wheels, and he's a damn good quarterback. And they showed
now
you that
okay.
they
And
can fuck you
where's
up
he
either
from?
end.
Where's he from? Alabama?
I think Jalen Hurts went to Oregon. Did he go to Oregon?
Okay.
I think he went to Oregon. But I
Okay, I
mean,
couldn't remember. Yeah.
I could be wrong about that. You might want to look that up. But just that the Eagles really showed that they were just that team was so well coached and so fine tuned, offensive, defensively, special teams. It was really amazing. It was.
It was amazing, but it also made it a hair boring. And it's just
No.
like we're like, huh. I mean, but you're just like, but for me, I'm like, oh, run it up. Cause I don't know what, cause they were talking about like, like no team is gone. Okay. Alabama and then Oklahoma.
Okay, there you go. I don't know what else.
So, but I don't know what like the record is this, because they said no team has gone, unscored in the first half, in Super Bowl history or whatnot.
It was the first time Mahomes and them ever went like that.
Yeah.
I think that without a score that deep in the third quarter.
Yeah, man.
I'm telling you, Kevin. I know. I don't know much. I pretend to know a lot.
Yeah,
I do know football, and I will tell you something. That front four had him scared. He's a good quarterback. I don't give a shit what anybody says about him. 100% the freaking referees cover for him. I get that, but that dude is a good quarterback, and they had him so freaking rattled. You know what?
When they nailed him like 3 times in a row.
Let me tell you something. Not only is that reflective of how powerful and how great that front four was, it shows you how great their defensive back was and how their linebackers were, in the short game, because they gave that man absolutely no options to throw to and allowed those 4 freaking maniacs to run loose and just freaking that he looked so rattled and so bothered. It was like, son of a bitch. I dropped back. There's no one open. There's nothing but green jerseys in the freaking secondary. And by the time I even have time to set up or want to run, I have freaking monsters terrorizing me. So hats off to the Eagles defense and Jalen Hurts. I think he did a great job of stepping up. He had an interception, and he didn't let him bother him. Bounce right back.
Yeah, shit happens. You just got to you just got to
Yep.
Some quarterbacks would let that bother them.
100%.
You just gotta forget about it and move on. The phone call was my granddaughter. I was wondering why. Because first it was a text and then it's a call, and it's like I got she's only like 7, something freaking out. She doesn't call me, and then and then I get on the phone and she's like, "Hi, Grandpa," and I go, "Hey, sweetheart, like what's going on?" Well, I got a teacher at school today, and I'm like, oh boy, this is gonna. I'm like, hey, baby, I'm on TV right now. Can I talk to you in a little bit? She's like, what channel are you on? I would like to watch you, Grandpa. So.
Okay, honey, I might have stretched it when I said TV.
but I told her on YouTube. So
Grandpa might have been telling a tall tale.
Yeah, that's it. So I will I will send this to my daughter-in-law now.
Honey, tell your mother to put YouTube on TV, and Grandpa will be on TV then.
Yeah.
There you go. Lie averted.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I am on the TV. So yeah, she's my absolute princess.
Well, listen, dude, I will never, ever, ever criticize or slight you for taking that phone call. That's a great phone call to take. But while you were gone, I was giving a little bit of a care recap of the global view or opinion of the Super Bowl last night. Nothing specific. I mean, dove in a little bit into how well they played, but it was just more of a global perspective of the game. I do think that the Chiefs. I think it was a lot of pressure to win that game, and I think that and we were talking last night. Jennifer invited her dad and stepmom over, and I said, what's funny is you always learn a little bit more a couple weeks down after the game. If you remember, several years ago when the Eagles played the Patriots and lost, it was McNabb. They were helping him. They're helping him. And they're like, oh my gosh, he's exhausted. He's laid it all out in the field. He's getting beat up. And then Terrell Owens came out and goes, no, he was out drinking late the night before. He's fucking hungover. So that came out a couple weeks as they're driving. He was running out of gas, and he was just like, shit. If you remember, that was when Terrell Owens broke his bone in his leg.
Yeah, T.O. Yeah,
and he went through this intense rehab just to be able to play in the playoffs of the Super Bowl, and I think it was against doctor's orders too, but he was healed enough, and he left it out. And he's like, listen, here's what I did. And this guy's out drinking late the night before, and then he needs help running to the huddle. So I'm interested to hear any stories afterwards. I think these guys are pretty straight-laced dudes. I think they take the game and their team serious. I just think a better coach team and a little too much pressure.
Yeah, it was funny today seeing all the or after the game, and then basically seeing all the cigar picks. Our good buddy Art Garcia, Segovia de Esteli, got a cigar into the mouth of one of the players. That was pretty awesome.
That's great.
And then it was so funny right before the show started, probably half hour. I had to go get Jessica, and I go, oh, look at this douche. And he had posted a picture of one of the players smoking a Fuente. And the guy that posted the picture in one of the cigar groups, only girly men smoke the Amazon basin, like real cigar smokers smoke Fuente, which was a douche thing to say. But what was funny was somebody commented that went through his profile and screenshot of the picture of that dude smoking a Amazon basin. So he's like, oh, you're team girly man then? So I'm like, great. Oh, how do you make that comment and then not scrub your profile of you smoking said girly cigar?
People don't think they're stupid. That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah,
that doesn't even make sense at all.
It doesn't.
People are stupid. But yeah, I mean, did you watch the game?
Yeah. So I probably listened to about half the game. I had a ton of work to do last night, so I probably listened to half the game. We had it on the TV in the lounge. So I was able to listen to it. And then when things got exciting, I would poke my head around the corner and I would watch. Mm-hmm. And then when it came back from halftime, I went to bed or we finished watching it in bed. So, nice. And then I cut it off probably 5 minutes to go. I'm like, this is just, it's brutal. Yeah. Jessica's like, you think they can come back? I go, it's not mathematically possible,
not even with the priest.
Not even there's nothing. I mean, there's no way to come back with 5 minutes to go.
No.
It's but yeah. So I tuned into tried to listen to the commercials as much as I could, to see if there's any good commercials. And
horrible. There were not any. I got to tell you, Kev. I no good commercial. Very actually, it's comical or sad when the only I get it. Okay, there was inspirational commercials. Okay, so for all those who are getting ready to freak out and talk about, yes, there was a lot of great inspirational commercials. There was a lot of great freaking this, that, the other. But listen, I'm just a silly fuck. Okay, I laugh at fart jokes. I like funny stuff. I do, and that's when I'm watching a game. I want to be entertained by the musicians. I want to be entertained by the commercials. And really, I thought the funniest ones were the ones who involved anybody from Boston. They had a freaking Dunkin' Donuts commercial with Ben Affleck and his brother Casey Affleck. They had one with Matt Damon and David Beckham.
David Beckham, yeah.
I mean, those were funny.
Yeah.
They made me laugh. So
that's what I want to do. I want to laugh at a bunch of commercials. I want to cry at the Budweiser commercial, which I think they missed the mark.
100%.
On the Clydesdale. Totally missed it. Well, first of all, I said totally missed the mark because they wouldn't have the barrels strapped in like that. Well, like one ratchet strap that goes across the back. That's absolutely insane. They'd have a tailgate on there. No way that barrel's falling off. So that right there just pissed me off at the beginning.
Multiple layers.
Yeah. So that wasn't happening. And then why the horse had to push it up like a hill and through like that carriage went through town. Why is it going through a mountain pushing a bear like
the horse?
The whole premise was dumb.
I thought when they poured the beer, I hope they didn't use the beer, the keg that he rolled for fucking 8 miles.
No. So I want to laugh. The Pringles commercial, it was okay. Little, but yeah,
the mustache.
The mustache.
Stupid.
Yeah, like the end of that was the so I kind of dug that one.
I did like the end of it because I do like what's it, Nick Offer.
Yeah, Nick Offerman.
Offerman.
But the other ones, there's none. Like I said, I did like the Matt Damon one. That was funny. But yeah, there was no. I remember when we used to laugh, and I mean, and it would remember back in the day we'd have these Super Bowl parties, and as soon as like you went and got your food and drink when the game was on,
yeah,
like they would be cutting and everybody, all right, everybody be quiet, and then you'd have 10 guys, women, whatever, like staring at the screen, and you'd all be laughing your asses off.
100%. You always, and it's funny, there have been some Super Bowls where you're like, the commercials were better than the Super Bowl. And and I mean, the Dorito commercial, not even funny. Usually they always have some good ones.
Yeah.
It was just, like I said, I got it. There was a lot of messaging. I really didn't need to be lectured by Brad Pitt. I didn't need to be lectured by Tom Cruise. I didn't need to be lectured by these folks. I didn't. You could have save it. All right. I'm sorry. Just save it. It's great that they're doing some fundraising and some acknowledgement of the tragedies that have happened in Louisiana. And the fires out in LA. But I didn't see Lady Gaga singing for Asheville, North Carolina when freaking that whole area got devastated. So
nobody. I mean, you didn't see who was Sean Penn in his rowboat with his gun in North Carolina. For those people like he had in the
But you spiraled down a big political. But my point is this: I don't care if it's political, non-political. I just don't want to be lectured to. I want to watch fucking football, bro. That's what I do. I'm a simple man.
That's it. I want to be entertained. That's all. That's all I want. When your moment is at your Emmys and your Oscars and your Tonys and whatever. Those are known. Make your statement there. Then make your say that's your thing. Don't interrupt my football game. Don't. I don't know.
I need to hear it. I'm just like, you know what, man. I was like, okay, great. Thanks, Brad.
Brad. I know, Brad.
Thanks, Tom. And I was like, you know what? I gotta tell you, I'm a big fan of Tom Brady as an announcer. I have been in the playoffs.
I like Tom Brady as an announcer. He's not, sometimes he's smart, but he's able to kind of dumb it down a little bit, which I like, because there are too many people that go on to do announcing and they're so technical that sometimes I like the game for what it is. You understand the technical part of the game because you played the game. You can look at things that I can never see, and sometimes, like I said, guys like Tom Brady, and other announcers. Kirk Herbstreit's a good one I like. He can kind of dumb it down for me. I'm like, oh, hey, I didn't know that. Throw in a little knowledge, a little history. of whatnot. I'm like, oh, and I'm digging that's what Tom Brady's doing.
He had one moment where I was like, okay, Tom, enough. And he was talking about losing to the Giants, and it was like he stretched that complaint on for a little too long. It was like, okay, Tom, turn the page, brother. It's time to turn the page a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
But other than that, I mean, he's like you said, he's knowledgeable, but he dummies it down. I think he's got really good insight, and can explain things in such a way where people understand it, but also makes it very applicable. The other guy who I used to really like watching as a sports analysis, who I thought was great, was Trent Dilfer.
Oh yeah, Trent Dilfer was great.
That's a dude who's very, very smart, and had to be smart because he didn't have, he laughs. I remember him showing when RG3, I think it was a quarterback, and he was breaking down his drop back. And he goes, "Look at this." He goes, "Look how fast he gets back." He goes, "How fast he gets back." He goes, "In a 5-step drop back." He goes, "I could even do that for 3-step." He's like, he goes, I had to perfect the 3-step because I was so slow. I couldn't do anything more than 3 steps. And he talks about all the different drills that he would do to make himself quicker because he didn't have that natural God-given talent, that he had skills, but he had to really work on what he had in order to accelerate. And then he would break down everything from passing routes and even, like, I heard Tom Brady talking about that last night. Just really, I was really impressed with him.
Yeah, I like it. Like I said, when they give props to someone that is just doing what, like I said, I mean, you may notice things like that, but they'll be like a little something like, let me tell you how hard that was, what he just did, quarterback, running back, wide, whatever, like unbelievably hard. Like that doesn't happen. Like no other person can run here, do that. And then, but yeah, so I love seeing that. Trent Dilfer was good.
Yeah, no, yeah, because a lot of people don't, you got a lot of those folks that are, barstool coaches and shit like that, and they don't get it. But those guys can really give you an idea that what you just witnessed really is not that simple and that easy. It's not an everyday event.
Yeah,
but,
like Gruden. I like John Gruden,
yeah.
but John Gruden gets boring. If you listen to him for too long, it's just like, all right, guy, move along this story.
Yeah. It's like trying to listen to Belichick. They're super smart, but it's like you're not going to hold an audience, bro.
I love, he had that picture with all of his rings on next to his 25-year-old girlfriend. Oh my God, that guy, you there's that phrase, living your best life.
That I don't know what to say, man. It's like, listen, he rolls in. You just look at that and go, yeah, well, that's how good a coach he was.
Yeah, that's it. But Brian Woodward, 48, never seen a Super Bowl. That's amazing. But then also the president was, I didn't know that no president has ever attended a Super Bowl.
Know that either.
How's that a thing?
They always, the president always did the interviews during at the Super Bowl.
Yes.
I remember that.
Yep. Yeah.
But I never knew that either. I never knew that a sitting president didn't attend a Super Bowl.
I want to see, because I know JD Vance did an interview before the Ohio State, the championship game. And, JD Vance is a Buckeye, so he wanted to say, go Buckeye, but he can't. He can't because of the, political. And I just want to see someone like him or the president and be like, yeah, and whip them Chiefs ass. It's like, go Eagles.
Well, I did see they asked him who's going to win. He's like, well, he goes, Patrick Mahomes, a good guy. He goes, his wife was a fan of mine. She voted for me, so I got to go with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And he goes,
I didn't see that part.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like, but hey, the Eagles are a good team too, so you never know. So he kind of committed, but then gave that fair and balanced answer like a good politician always should. But yeah, I mean, he
what's going on?
Hey, listen, freaking Patrick Mahomes' wife, she loves me. She voted for me, whatever he said. He goes, so I got to go with the Chiefs. But
that's it. That boy, Grace O'Malley, Pirate Queen, and Kara smoking a big Tony.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Fat Bottom Betty. Yeah, great cigar.
I wasn't aware that a sitting president. Now, I'm kind of curious on. I know that is the Super Bowl at a later date than it used to be, or I'm kind of curious on the dates of previous Super Bowls because if the date for the Super Bowl was, well, I guess it wouldn't matter. It would be every 4 years that you probably
Yeah,
would be a little wishy washy with president.
It used to be earlier. I want to say it was around the end of January, and then for some reason,
So
maybe
every
5 or 6
4 years
years.
would be an issue because you're not going to have, but I mean, even the other 3 years, to your point, I'm like, well, shit, I would have never known that a president never attended a Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. Yeah, that was that was weird. You
That's
see,
crazy.
Coach Jim Tressel, a former coach of Ohio State, he's going to be the new lieutenant governor of this great state of Ohio. So,
Really?
yeah, it was someone got moved to the Senate, because when someone retired, or not when someone got put into the Trump administration, so there was an opening for lieutenant governor for like a year. So,
Okay, I gotcha.
so like Jim Tressel's gonna move into that role for the next or the rest of this year, maybe, and I think the election's next year.
Oh,
For the
shit.
new new governor and a new lieutenant governor. So, yeah.
Wow, okay. Yeah, I was unaware of that. Well, you got a Buckeye in the office, right?
Well, that's it.
But yeah, I have been reading a lot of things about the halftime show. I got to tell you, I not familiar with the artist, right? Not familiar with him. So right there, regardless of who's playing, if I'm not familiar with your music or if I'm not familiar with who you are, I'm kind of already lost interest, right? That's not going to engage.
Yeah.
After that, I just watched it. I watched it. I was like, you know what? Okay, that's got some good choreography. Got some really creative artists. I was like, oh, it's pretty cool. All right. I, and they're like, and now you're reading all the posts. Do you know what this means? Do you know what this
Yeah, the Easter
symbolic?
eggs,
You know what the meaning?
yeah.
You know what this meaning was? And I'm like, again, I always fall back to rule number one. I just want to have fun. I want to be entertained. Call
Yeah.
me a simple man. I don't, or you could read into that whatever you want. Be stupid. I'm just a simple man. I want to sit back. I want to watch fucking Prince play his guitar and sing Purple Rain while it rains on him, and he doesn't give a shit while he jams and freaking does all of his hits. He does a Foo Fighters song and just awesome. Come out, rock my ass off, freaking rap my ass off, freaking do whatever freaking music that like when they had Eminem and them on. That was a pretty good show too. Dr. Dre, Eminem.
Oh, that was a fantastic.
That was really good.
Just the set, the set, and then when 50 Cent came, it was just like
all that. That was great show, man. Great, Snoop Dogg, just a great.
But the one thing Jessica and I were talking before the show about that, we talked a little bit about last night, and it's just like, but I think the average person that watches the Super Bowl, I mean they have an age range, and they're probably our age. Maybe a little younger, maybe 15 years older, but there's that age. It's just like, who's watching Drake? Who's watching Kanye? I don't know. It's just like, but Snoop Dogg, Eminem, that's still in our genre. Prince.
That's our age. It's our generation. I mean,
it's our generation. So
Bruce
why,
Springsteen played a couple of years ago. I don't like Bruce Springsteen. In the immortal words of Iron Sheik, Bruce Springsteen, I don't. I thought, remember when Beyonce, not Beyonce, what's her face, the crazy chick who shaved all her hair off, Britney Spears. Britney Spears played with Aerosmith. That was a horror.
Yeah,
that was a nightmare. U2, awesome. Michael Jackson, freaking really great. Halftime show. I thought Bruno Mars had fucking awesome. Bruno Mars was great. Not to interrupt you, I'm sorry, but I think Bruno Mars was up there with Prince when it came to the show. That freaking dude put on, and that's it. That's not my genre. That's not my age group.
Yeah, same here.
Fucking talented and just great music. I've listened to his stuff. I actually started listening to his stuff after that. Just incredible. And then, um, you have some of these other shows, or what's his face? I know they had Creed on. They always talk about that. They did their, that, that was, whatever, decent halftime, but I'm not a fan of theirs either. But I thought the guy who did the national anthem did a fantastic job too.
Yeah.
I thought that was freaking. I was like, dude, roll him back out at halftime because I'd like to listen to him. And the girl and the guy with the trumpet and trombone who did God Bless America.
Oh, I missed that.
Oh,
yeah.
Dude, that was freaking. Again, you bring out those four folks at halftime, I'll kick back and listen to it all day long. It was phenomenal. It was really good.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and watch that. Yeah. So, but yeah, the and take the political message out, or whatever message during the halftime show of whatever it was. I thought it still sucked, and you instantly had people, online after the Super Bowl. It sucked, and other people was like, oh, that's it. That's it. This is this old man shaking his fist. I didn't like it, and that's fine, and I'm allowed to say that, and it doesn't mean that I don't support the message, or I didn't get it, and that's why you didn't like it. I didn't, which I saw. I didn't like it because I didn't like it. I didn't like the rapper, or whatever it is he's called. I didn't like the setup. I didn't like, I liked how everybody was dressed. Like, I like the American flag that they were representing. I mean, I thought that was kind of, cool, but yeah, no, I didn't like it because I didn't like it.
It would be the same as I like new country music. I don't like it. So if they were like, who's a big country star right now? Kenny Chesney, or I don't even fucking know, that terrible. But if you had like some country artist out there jamming, I would be like, listen, man, that's not my jam. That's not for me. It's nothing to do with the message. It has everything to do with the music. Begins with M. It's called the music. It's not exactly ringing my bell.
That's it. Ross, any recommendations for a complete newbie? I love Tatiana's, but I know the flavored cigars are kind of frowned upon. Ross, if anybody ever tells you that flavored cigars are not real cigars, or you're not a real cigar smokers because you like them, you send them my way, because this guy, full of tattoos and a beard, likes a flavored or non-traditional cigar on occasion. So yeah, it's smoke what you like. If you like the Tatianas, move into the Drew Estate Deadwood line. Drew Estate's making some great stuff on the Deadwood line. And then just to talk to your local tobacconist. Yeah, right there. Like I said, talk to your local tobacconist and tell him what you're smoking, because that he can take that Tatiana, he can break it down for you, and he like, hey, it's using this tobacco, this, and this, and let's get you into essentially that same cigar, but without the enhancements. And then so you could smoke that cigar as a traditional cigar, but that's where a good tobacconist, a good cigar lounge is going to be your friend. I recognize the message and all. Wasn't a flashy and entertaining as we used to, seeing $1 billion game. I watched it. I got the message, but I was also bored. Yeah, that's what, at the end of the, I wasn't pumped.
That's a decent summation. I mean, again, if you're a fan of the artist and you're a fan of the music, I guarantee you enjoyed it, because like I said, he did have a great setup. I think the staging, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of, he was, and I kind of looked at some of what the whole meanings were, and I was like, whatever. But and not dismissive. In my opinion, it reminded me of kind of like a musical. Like every song had a setting, and everyone kind of blend together, and whoever laid it out, choreographed it, did the set, and organized the flow of the music, did a great job of it telling a story and it going from like one setting to the next. A great job. It was kind of like you said, the set that they had for Dr. Dre and Eminem and Snoop Dogg was kind of similar to that. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it just sucks I had to learn afterwards what the story was. Like if I'm going to see a play, like Oklahoma or Les Miserables or something else, I understand where the play is taking me. So,
But just got you to think, Kev. That's what happened.
But yeah, this one, like I had to find out afterwards why I should have enjoyed it, but and it's just but yeah, I don't know. It is, like I said, old white man shaking his fist, if you want to throw
I don't think I say
there.
white. There's a lot of brothers online too that I was reading said it wasn't that good. They're not fans of it. Again, it's like, look, man, it either rings your bell or it doesn't. It doesn't make the message any weaker or any less important. It just means
that's
it was not entertaining.
I want sparklers and fireworks and loud music.
I think Katy Perry, man. I don't like Katy Perry worth a shit. But she still was flying around like and freaking had sparklers at her butt, and it was like, gosh, okay, that's you're going with what you got. It's been a minute since there was a pretty decent halftime show, in my opinion.
I agree.
Bruno Mars.
Yeah, you're probably right. I would say Bruno Mars might be the last big epic. Like I said, coming to mind, I can only think of Bruno Mars, the Eminem, Dr. Dre, and like those are like, as we talk, like others will come up, like Katy Perry, but like when you recall two of them, like Bruno Mars and Dre, and
I remember watching Prince. I remember I was sitting. I remember I was living in Pittsburgh. We had just had the flood in our house, so I was sitting in the living room with the surround sound and the speakers on like 100 because I had about 50 freaking dehumidifiers and fans going on from fire decks, trying to dry out the house. And I think that was what the Bears and the Colts game or something like that, Super Bowl. But man, what a great Super Bowl halftime. I mean, it really was.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's like if you got, if you remembered it, then obviously it was memorable. If not, well,
that's it. I do miss the parties, like the Super Bowl parties. It seems like as all my friends, as we're getting older, we're all, like what are you doing for the Super Bowl? Staying home alone and watching the game. All right, that's what I'm doing too. I'll text you during the game. So
yeah. Well, what's funny is last night, I'm out in the lounge smoking a cigar, watching the game. Jen's in the house, and Jen had her father and stepmom stop by and spend time with us. And I come in, and she's like, "I'm going to bed." And I'm like, "Okay." And like the two people who are their 70s are hanging out, to closing out the Super Bowl. And like you, I'm sitting there going, I'm half asleep too, because I'm like, man, okay, this is a great Super Bowl, but I gotta get up tomorrow. I'm fucking tired.
yeah,
My ass is dragging, and I'm getting out freaking partied by a bunch of 70-year-olds. Jen's already about 30 minutes into a REM sleep, upstairs. So, it's I don't know. The Super Bowl parties, maybe because we're getting older, they're not as they're not as popular. But I can tell you what you described earlier was exactly what I remember Super Bowl parties being like. And if there would have been a Super Bowl, if I'd have been at a Super Bowl party, there would have been a lot of people not happy with the commercials.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and as cigar smokers, I guess we're a little different because I said, me, I have a cigar lounge. I want to sit here and watch. I got 2 big screen TVs in here. I got my little office around the corner. But yeah, I just want to sit here, smoke cigars, watch the game or whatever, and have my own food, have my own drink. If I go over to someone's house, it's like, oh, that's great. It's like I'm sitting on, which I've done at people's houses before, sitting on their back porch, trying to hot box a cigar and like watching everybody else inside. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna smoke out here. So but,
yeah. But I mean, overall, I think again, maybe next year they'll bring out Metallica. Maybe that you can have something like that.
Yeah.
Or Monsters of Rock, like the 4, like Metallica, Megadeth, and Anthrax, or That'd be
I don't know who books them. I mean, what the process is. It's just I don't know who we got. James just Googled it. New York Times has updated and listed as the number 4 all time behind Prince, Dr. Dre, Snoop, and U2.
Yeah, I think
New York Times.
Yeah, I think I think I remember Kendrick Lamar playing too. It was but yeah, I think Prince is definitely up there. But being a Dre and Snoop and Eminem and 50 Cent fan, I gotta tell you, I still think Bruno Mars is better than they.
Yeah. Without a doubt. You know, and those and the artists don't get paid. They do that for free. You know, I don't know if the Super Bowl gives them a budget for set design and everything on everything else, but yeah, the artists themselves, nobody gets paid for that. It's all volunteer.
Yeah,
so
I think they show up volunteer. They get probably about $50,000 to $100,000 worth of gift bags, and then
budget, you know, like I said, going to all the because you see them like at the pre-Super Bowl parties and everything else, and it's
Nipplegate. We forgot about Janet Jackson.
Oh yeah, and what's his name? Justin Timberlake. Yeah.
And I just looked. I forgot Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers too.
Yeah, that was a wardrobe malfunction, you know. But yeah,
Nipplegate.
oh my God. So, but yeah, is a good, you know, is another show.
You know, Jalen Hurts deserved the MVP because the only other person that could have gotten the MVP would have been the Eagles defense. It would have been a group.
It'd have been a group.
Because it was like, you see that freaking kid? He's 22 years old. He's a rookie out of Iowa. On his birthday, got the interception and pick 6.
Oh no, I didn't know.
Deshaun.
Yeah, I saw it because they were talking to his parents or so after the game.
It was him and Saquon's birthday.
I didn't know that was their birthdays.
Both their birthdays yesterday. Yeah, and he got a pick and a touchdown. That was pretty good. It was I did not see that. I did not see that one. The greatest part about that was that he said,
James.
He said, I love Jeeps, even though my last name is, and he mouthed Ford. I thought that was funny.
Okay.
You know, he lost me because when he plugged in the Jeep into the electric area.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just old school. Like if you're driving a 4-wheel drive and it's a Jeep, it needs gas.
Yeah, and Jeeps are just piles of crap. And, they're not even Jeeps anymore.
No, not that older Jeeps were much better, but owning
no. There was a fine line. You know, people like, I like the old stuff. Well, the old stuff was kind of piles of crap too. You know, they had a good run there for a while, but yeah.
Do you remember those 70s when they were using processed steel and they would rust if water even looked at it?
I know, you know, but
so we talked football, we talked Super Bowl, we talked halftime, we talked commercials, and really, what Tom Cruise, new Mission Impossible movie. These are trailers. Usually get some really good trailers too for movies.
Yeah, we didn't know. I didn't see that one, but I've only seen Mission Impossible 1, so I don't even know. I've never seen.
They're all fantastic, and he does his own stunts, but. That movie's coming out. Another Jurassic Park, which
was there a commercial? I didn't see that.
Neither did I. Jennifer told me, and I saw they lost me a while ago at Jurassic Parks. You know,
I like the last few.
Nah, it's you can only do so much with dinosaurs. They're still dinosaurs. Come on. And then the new Marvel movie looked really good. Thunderbolts. I think that's what it was.
I've seen. I haven't seen anything. But, I saw the first Incredible Hulk, the first Iron Man, and the first Spider-Man, and then that's the only comic book movies I've seen.
Wow, you're missing out on a lot, Kevin.
I know. I don't have time. I don't have time for all that. I got very limited time to be
part man.
Yeah. So, but
that was I can't remember if there's any more, but those were some movie trailers. I was very, again, I expected more. we got less. Another kind of a
Yeah.
disappointment. There's a lot of drug companies, it seems like, with a lot of commercials too.
It was that's one, because we're the last, I believe that from what I read, that we are the last country in the world that allows drug manufacturers to advertise on TV. And that's one thing that RFK wanted to stop. I don't know, being you in kind of in that bit. What are your thoughts on that? Should we, are there
Listen,
people
it's
doctor shopping to get these drugs that they hear about on
no.
TV? Or,
I mean, no. I
so,
mean, I think it's I think a lot of it was talk about research too, which is important. And I've always understood, whether you agree with it or not, but it's a business. It's a business.
yeah.
And you can argue either side, and I can understand either side because I've argued both sides on the ethics of drug costs, et cetera, et cetera. But when you look at it as a business, from business perspective, and you're a good businessman, Kevin, I think you would understand the economics of it.
Oh yeah.
And then understand there's an economics of it, and then there's the shadiness of it. But I think you have that with anything. But when you have when the expectation is to bring new drugs to market, bring medications to market that to help cure and treat diseases, and then you're like, okay, well, I got to get that money from somewhere. Are you going to give it to me?
Yeah.
You know, that's where I think a lot of folks are going to have that issue. But personally, pharmaceutical commercials have never once bothered me in the least bit. If anything, when it comes to certain things like mental health, women's health, I think there needs to be more educational commercials out there. I think there needs to be more information out there, more treatment options. There needs to be a heck of a lot more than that what's done, because what we're seeing that's going on in the news, and we see what goes on in day-to-day life. There is, especially with the mental health community, I think that there is a huge deficit. And everyone wants to talk about the problem. Everyone wants to complain about the problem, but no one wants to fix the problem.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And
I've never
yeah,
been against that. I understand it 100%.
yeah, I don't, sometimes it gets to be too much at times, like they go on too long, or I see too many of them. But I don't have an opinion one way or the other. I mean, lately I have been concerned about my A1C. I don't know what that is. But according to the commercials, I should be more concerned about it.
You should
One day I may look at it. Maybe you can tell me what
learn how
my
to learn how to
A1.
learn how to spell A1C, and then maybe
Yeah.
we can talk.
Okay. Okay.
Learn how to
But
spell.
yeah, it's sometimes they seem to drone on, it's just, I do look at them and I kind of laugh sometimes, because and it's not, and I don't know, maybe it's just, I'm just a regular, I like to see how much diversity that they try their best to put into these commercials. And it's just like, you watch them like, wow, you got everybody in there. Like you went out of your way. It's like, this is kudos to you. It's
Well, there's that, but then there are certain things you got to consider with that. And one of the, I mean, when you talk about diversity, um, when you talk about medications, there is an issue there. There is it, and I think trying to get as much of a message out to individuals, whether it's a certain disease state may have a bigger impact on a certain race, right?
yeah.
Or a certain, or more females than males, are being impacted by it. Um, you know, you got to get that message out there, because some people don't know, some people don't trust. So
Yeah.
and that's where I do think that you may see some folks will look at it and they'll go, "Oh, look at everybody!" Like you just said, they're trying to get everybody in there. It's like, well, no, there's a reason why the folks are being chosen to represent this particular group for this disease state, because a higher percentage suffer from that disease state. So you have to get that okay, well, there's someone who looks like me who has this disease state. And I talked to my doctor. Oh my gosh, and it's bringing more seriousness and more reality to light, I think. So um, that's kind of the way I look at it as well. But I, I think it's an interesting thing. That is definitely a show, a topic that could be probably a couple hours long with talking about different
Oh yeah.
deficiencies in healthcare and where the gaps are. Um, but yeah, I think um, I think that there was. I know that the pharmaceutical sponsored commercials last night were very centric on research and also dealing with cancers and pediatric cancers. I mean,
Yeah.
very, pediatric cancer being near and dear to our heart.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
they're, I think, coming up on 13 or 14 years when Joe was first diagnosed. It was yesterday.
Yeah.
It was yesterday.
That was that's what oh, just yesterday. Oh wow.
Yeah,
Um
the 9th
yeah.
of February, like
Yeah. Yeah,
13 years.
and pediatric can't. That's what got my daughter Amber to go into pediatric neonatal. Doing for years. Probably like
Mhm.
10 years. We volunteered for the American Cancer Society, the Relay for Life, co-chair of that, chair of different events for them, and my family was always part of it. And then Amber, hanging out with the kids, and getting to see that from her early on made an impact for her, and now that's what she does.
Yeah.
Labor and delivery, pediatrics. Then she just did announce finally yesterday that she announced to the world that she is pregnant and gonna be a grandpa again. So super.
Congratulations.
We got the gender reveal on Saturday, or next Saturday. So
Insert joke here. Is that what you're looking for?
yeah, it's I just told her she's got her best friend went through college with, they work in the industry together. So I said, as long as it's not lame, don't be throwing a lame gender reveal like you see some of these, So, but I'll be filming. I'll be waiting for something to go wrong, and when it does, I'm posting that shit online. So if it does, so but yeah, so super excited about that.
Well, that's fantastic, man. I am interested now in learning more about the Grace O'Malley.
So yeah, we picked that up from the guys at Single Barrel Cigar Company. Super excited. The cigar, I smoked one on the way home. And it's smoking flawlessly. They pick the barrel for the cigar.
Well, explain that. Explain that, Kevin, because I and the folks that are listening and watching, I don't know if you're looking to have this discussion later in a more formal setting,
Yeah.
or if you're good with answering questions now about this, just let me know or tell me to shut up if I go too far. But when you say they selected the barrel for the cigar, kind of explain what you did and then explain that statement, please.
So yeah, so let me grab a lighter that works. So yeah, so Risty from JSK Cigars had pretty much already had the cigar lined up that he was going to produce for us because we were we weren't going to do really a barrel. We were just going to do a project with Risty. And so we decided to pivot at one point, after we had the guys on the show from Single Barrel Cigar Company. I'm like, oh, I thought that would be a kind of a cool thing to do. And I talked to a couple manufacturers about doing a barrel aged cigar, and they weren't interested in it. Some manufacturers, which I understand, like they want their cigar to shine. They don't want it covered up by anything, so, Risty's like, yeah, let's do it. The cigar will hold up on its own. So we got the guys at Single Barrel Cigar Company, told them what the blend of the cigar was, and they'd been doing this for a while. So they got the barrel. They chose it was originally held Sazerac rye, and then it went to Myers rum to have their rum finished in it, and then it went over to the guys at Big Storm Distillery in Tampa, which they finished their rum into it. And those guys at Single Barrel Cigar knows their rum, know their cigars. Like, hey, we think this would be the perfect cigar
So
for that
why
for
rum?
that blend.
Why rum for that cigar? And before you answer that question, Ross earlier made the comment about any recommendations. You know, he's a newbie, frown upon flavored cigars. You know, JSK. You know, you mentioned Risty. Guy's freaking fantastic, brilliant, and has his patented process of getting flavors into his cigars. So if you have an opportunity, Ross, give
Yeah,
give JS,
yeah, he's got
JSK
his munchies line, so which is fantastic, and he is now a Kentucky Colonel. Did you see that he posted that?
no.
He got a declaration from the Andy Bashir, the governor of Kentucky, that Risty is now an official Kentucky Colonel. So
Does that mean he can fry chicken now as well?
nah, I don't know if what that comes with. We'll find out. But he has got the signed proclamation, and so yeah, Colonel Risty. So we went with rum.
Yes,
We went
yes.
with rum
Why rum?
because Grace O'Malley, the pirate queen, the one of the most notorious pirate queens. She's from Ireland. We're sticking with our Irish theme. You know, we started off with the Cert Mite Bruscar in a real good trash in honor of my my ancestor Cornelius Shahan, the first Shahan that came to the New World. He on his way here, he definitely sailed in the same waters as Grace O'Malley plied. You know, he came to Jamaica. He was in the in that area at the height of piracy. You know, it's like, you know, I think about like all the cool stuff when you watch Pirates of the Caribbean, they're in these towns and like what's going on. And I just imagine Cornelius in that time, you know, of seeing these ships come in, seeing the fights, the duels, and probably none of that happened. It probably wasn't as cool as the movies make it out to seem, but I, you know, I want to imagine that, you know, as super cool. So yeah, we got with them. And because we were doing a very limited run, it allowed them to do a process that they normally don't do. Because normally they pack the barrels. They pack them solid with cigars, stand them up, you know, and they are packed. They put that lid on. They are upright. But since we were only doing a limited run of 1,500, that left the barrel about half empty. So they decided to lay it on its side, stack the cigars horizontally, and then they came in every few days. They gave it a roll.
Oh, nice.
And then that's it, you know. And then after a couple of months of rolling once every day or two, that allowed every single cigar to touch the sides of the barrel, and get that nuance of the barrel. And the cigar came out fantastic. It's you can taste what Risty blended, but then you can taste that.
Did he do his flavoring? Like, was that also involved with it, or was this just
no? This is just Risty rolled a traditional cigar, and that was it. So we put a traditional cigar in the barrel, so you can taste it on the wrapper. You know, you can taste it in the tobacco. You know, it has this great amalgamation of flavors because so many different rums, you know, were put into this barrel, or a rye and 2 rums, and it just, in my opinion, it turned out great. Rock solid ash, great taste.
Nice.
And super proud. So yeah, super excited to launch this. We're going to launch it on March 1st, so everybody can have hopefully this will be everybody's St. Patrick's Day cigar. So it'll be super cool to be able to launch this, and
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I put your package out in the mail today. I sent a few media people that I really look up to, you know, that has given me great advice and kind of mentored me over the years. So I sent out some cool packs to the media, asking for a little bit of their feedback. So yeah, super excited to see what the you know, I mean, it's not like I invented anything, you know, barrel aging a cigar. I mean, it is what it is. I think for a lot of times though, you know, and there are, and I don't know if everybody does that, you know, a lot of times you choose a cheap cigar, you know, to enhance, infuse, age, whatever it is, you know, so you're leaning towards a cheaper cigar, you know, hoping to get enough of the infusion or the spirits into the cigar where people can't taste it, can't taste that maybe rolled.
And you can ratchet up the price a little bit because it's an infused cigar, and the profits are even higher because you're using a cheaper cigar.
Exactly, but we went with basically JSK's Red Night blend. I think he tweaked it just a little bit for us. So we're starting off with a super premium cigar. We're starting off with a cigar that already retailed for $12 to $14.
Yeah,
and then we went through this whole process, and we're still gonna retail it for right around $10. So we're gonna make. It's one of the cigars, I really want people to like it. So I'm definitely taking a kick in the teeth on the profit margin side, but it's just one of those projects. It's like, I'll make it up on the next one. I think we're going to do another. I think we're going to do another one. I got a barrel lined up.
Keep the barrel this time, Kevin.
No. This one is my barrel. Like I got to go pick it up. I'll probably do the barrel aging myself, here,
is it going to be a full or empty barrel? Is it going to come with a whole bunch of bourbon in it or something, and you got to empty it out?
It's so I can't tell you. No, it's definitely going to be empty. Well, they can't actually, it's against the law for them to sell you a full barrel. If you're not like Jeff Borshowitz at like Corona or something, you're not allowed to buy actually, I don't even think he's allowed to buy a barrel. Like it has to come separately. Like they have to, like they can sell you a barrel. They have to bottle
in bottles, right? Gotcha.
Yeah, in bottles. But the rum that came out of this barrel is going to be super expensive. It's like 5 or 7 year aged rum in like a fancy either a sherry or a wine barrel or something. The bottles were super expensive. So
so you're doing the liquor?
No, I'm just going to do the barrel.
Gotcha.
So yeah. But yeah, so I learned a lot from the guys at Single Barrel on this one. So I may do this one again at the end of the year.
You're just doing the barrel's pedigree. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, just so I might make some money on that one. So because this one there were so many hands that touched this project, everybody had to get paid. So it's like everything else after everybody else gets paid, it's like, everybody made more money than me. It's like that sucks. So
listen, that's you talk about business earlier with some of these companies. It's like, after everything's all said and done, you're like, okay, well, that went fast.
Yeah,
a lot of money elsewhere. Hey, I wanted to ask. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. That was it.
I was going to ask you, do we have any things to read about from our sponsors this evening?
We do. We were we missed the one at the beginning of the show, so
I should have hopped on that. I don't know if you did you send me any of the stuff?
We don't have any show notes anymore.
No. For the sponsors, what I'm saying.
Oh, I probably should send that.
Yeah, because you get pulled away. I could have read that. But
yeah, exactly. So, all right. So, before we kick off the show, that's reading my own notes. We'd like to thank JerkyGent for being a supporter of the Puff and Ponder podcast. JerkyGent.com is not just another snack website. They're a flavor expedition for the connoisseur of craft beef jerky. Every month, their Beef Jerky Club subscription box delivers an assortment of premium mouth-watering jerky brands and flavors sourced from across the country. Their carefully curated selections ensure a unique tasting journey for their subscribers at new brands and flavors introduced every month. Kara, I just got notification today. Our jerky box subscription for this month has shipped. So as soon as I get that, I'll send you your half, so we're, you'll get full bags this month, not just half. So we'll,
I didn't even get any of that last time. It went missing.
Yeah, I know. So super excited. And then my for my snack crate is also shipped as well. So something I do with my daughter. So everybody check that out. You'll be on the Puff and Ponder podcast Rumble channel. I think it's on the Cigar Prop YouTube channel, those unboxings, so check those out. So super cool. Wyatt was talking to the ghost last night.
Yeah,
we have a ghost in the house. So and I've always known that. because I remember sitting here, and I think I've told the story before, years and years ago. It's probably going back 10 years ago. I was sitting in my office, which is now Wyatt's room before Jessica and the kids moved in. And I was sitting in my computer, and I have a shelf above the window, and it's an entire Ohio State themed room. So there's a cornice above the window with a shelf on there, and an Ohio State cup came tumbling off the shelf, hit the ground. So there's no way for it to fall off a shelf because the cup is only 8 inches tall, but the lip on the cornice is like 4 inches.
Right.
Not possible to fall off. Can't happen. And it had to have jumped off the shelf, bounced, and I looked at it and I left the house. And I realized I left for like an hour, and I didn't come back because it freaked me out so much. So Jessica comes into Wyatt's room, and he's staring over in the corner, and he says, "What do you want?" And Jessica's she doesn't know he doesn't know she's behind him. And then, he just starts talking, and then she interrupts him. It's like, "Why, are you talking to someone?" And he goes, "Yeah." And she goes, "Who are you talking to?" And he points over to the corner, and Jessica goes, "Are they still here?" And he looks back and he goes, "No, they're gone." So yeah, so that's happening.
So you believe in ghosts? Apparently you do.
So matter can neither be created nor destroyed. So something happens to us when we die. I don't know, call it the chi, the soul, the energy force, that has to go somewhere. Your energy has to go somewhere. Does it linger? Does it go on to an afterlife? I don't know.
So let me ask you this. Okay. This is interesting because we've talked about, faith, and we talked about this kind of stuff before. So we all agree that your body is matter, right?
Yeah.
So if you die, this body eventually goes back to the earth, and again, it's just the matter is distributed, correct?
Yeah.
What you're saying and what you're admitting to is that there is another matter that is not tangible, that when you die still exists and has to go somewhere, that is separated or different from your physical body.
Yes.
So that would be indicative of a soul.
Yeah, a life force, if you will.
You can freaking sci-fi it up all you want, Kev. You basically said there's a soul there. So then how was that soul created? Is it like the Matrix where the robots are up there making them, or is it a bunch of aliens out there making them, or is it potentially God who's making that?
No, it's just matter in the universe. It's just it's the electricity. It's I'm not a fan of the Big Bang. I just don't see how that happened. I'm not I'm anti Big Bang.
I was just being kind of funny with that.
I just don't think it happened.
So, but then back to what you're saying is, I'm curious if that's the case, like how do all living creatures have this energy that you speak of?
In theory, yes. Everything that lives, has a life force, has an energy.
Okay.
But do I believe in ghosts? Before, and it's weird. I was 100% sure before Brad died that there was ghost. But Brad and I are best friends. Brad and I, Brad never said goodbye. And I always thought, and I was waiting. And I thought, because Brad always wanted to prove to me there was something else out there. And that didn't happen. And I thought if anybody could make that happen and show me without show me that it was going to be Brad, and it didn't happen.
Wait for it. You gotta be patient. Brad is a very, very devious guy. And you got to figure too. I mean, I told you what happened to me recently.
Yeah.
It was my brother's birthday. We lost my brother back in 2020. So we're coming up on 5 years of losing my older brother. Suddenly, it wasn't the COVID, so it was a sudden cardiac event. So every year, I always kind of happy birthday, Tony. And I kind of like you. I'm like, my brother, I always know he's my big brother. We freaking shared a room together. He's always going to be that guy who's, if there's a way for someone who's going to fucking let me know, it's going to be him.
Yeah.
But I mean, but then I'm also kind of realistic about things. But so it's his birthday, and I'm like, I'm going to have a drink celebration for his birthday. And I came down, and I'm like, okay, here's my bourbons, here's my scotch, and Jennifer bought me 2 bottles of Field of Dreams bourbon, which is bourbon that's made from the corn that is in the Field of Dreams field from the movie. It's still around. And the top of every one of these bottles, when you take off the wrapper, is the wooden cork is an engraved profile of a baseball player, and then the bottle's number, and you can look it up online. So we got Wade Boggs in the first bottle, and I was like, okay, thanks. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to drink it. I'm like, okay, it's my scotch, and I was like reaching for the scotch. I'm like, my brother's a baseball guy. I'm like, here's the other bottle of Field of Dreams. I'm like, let me just grab this bottle. He's a baseball guy. I'm like, I'll have one for him. And I opened it up, and I kid you not, this has never happened to me ever in my life. I got sucker punched with emotion. Like my reaction physically was not catching up to what my brain was processing. Because when I opened up the bottle, I saw the baseball player, and it was Johnny Bench. Johnny Bench played for the Cincinnati Reds and was a catcher. He was my brother's favorite baseball player. The odds, right? So when I opened it up and I saw Johnny Bench, I started laughing. So I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. And as I'm laughing, Jennifer looks at me and puts her hand on my shoulder. I'm wondering why. I'm fucking sobbing and didn't realize I was sobbing and shaking at the same time. All I knew was I was laughing at this irony. And then I got hit and I started sobbing and crying. And I just freaking looked down and I was like, Tony, God, I get it. I'm like, I got it. I got it. And it still gives me the chills now. And I told my dad, and when I told him the story, he just started laughing. He goes, "That's Tony. It's Tony checking in on you."
Yeah.
But I had never been hit with an emotional response like that ever, where it was indescribable how I felt. Like it wasn't like an out of body. It was just like it was like multiple emotions were happening, and from the outside it looked different from what I was feeling on the inside. In the inside, I was laughing and like this, like, oh my god, this is so fucking cool. And my outside was crying and sobbing, and then what happened was within like a second or two, both those emotions slammed together, and I realized what was going on.
Yeah, that's only happened to me one time, that I can recall, and I remember doing a series of videos. I found all the Drew Estate pipe tobaccos, and I had the pipes, and I was doing like a little review on each because I don't understand pipe tobacco, and it was either at the end of or somewhere near the end. Every day I was doing one video, and I lit up this one pipe tobacco, and you can see it in the video. And I almost started crying, but I choked up because it was my grandfather. I said I only have like one memory of my grandfather on my dad's side. He died when I was really little, but we used to go up there every summer, and the only thing I remember is going down to like the little basement, finished basement, really nice, and he'd be sitting there smoking his pipe. And I remember, one memory of him sitting on his lap and him smoking a pipe, because you didn't realize back then you didn't smoke around children, blowing pipe smoke onto your grandkids. But it was when the room note off that pipe, and it hit me, and I hadn't thought about my grandfather in 20 years, and it was just like, this is it's exactly my memory. I mean, the smell, and it was just
smells are very powerful.
Smells are really, really powerful.
Yeah.
But yeah, that hit me like a ton of bricks. And and my daughter, she'll say she'll be somewhere and someone will be smoking a cigar, like she'll just be doing whatever, and like the smell will hit her and she instantly, thinks of me,
Right.
So like that's, I love that, when she has a baby, I'm like, every time your baby comes home, your baby's going to smell like cigar smoke, right? I go, I'm not going to have the baby in the lounge smoking the cigar, but it's in my beard, it's in my clothes.
Yeah.
Like, your baby is going to, and I'm like, that's awesome.
Right.
So
no, definitely. I mean, smells are. I remember walking into it was back in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. I walked into a diner and they had like a little foyer. And I walked in, it was like, it was like you said, smells. It was like, boom! I walked in my grandmother and grandfather's house.
Yeah,
like immediately the same effing smell. I was like, God dang, the smell of like freaking old carpet mothballs and freaking paneling with grandparently yumminess. It was just like,
oh yeah. When my grandparents, my dad's parents, my grandmother died first, and my grandfather died, and then my uncle bought the house, and like changed nothing. I mean, well,
right.
Actually, and my uncle never left home. Like he's lived there his entire life.
Right.
He's never lived on his own. So he just stayed there, bought the house, because it was split up amongst the kids, actually buy out all the siblings.
Right, yeah.
He kept the house and changed zero. Nothing is allowed to be changed. This is how mom wanted. This is how mom wanted it. And you walk into a house, from the 70s, like everything's the same. But yeah, it was just, so every time I went up, it's been a couple of years since I've been up there, but I used to go up there every year, like as an adult, and the smells were the same, just like, this was just, I remember from being a kid coming into my grandparents' house, like like I said, the paneling, the real wood floors, and just everything else. And just seeing that, like the curio cabinet with the commemorative plates, that was the thing, is still in the corner. Everything is the exact same. And but yeah, just it's always just the smell. So being in the kitchen, because my grandmother was a cook. I mean, well, actually she was, after they sold the farm and moved to the city, she became the lunch lady, and then my grandfather was the janitor. They spent 30 years at the school system. They walked to work, which was 2 blocks away every day, so, but she was always cooking whenever we were over there, whether, baking bread at 3:00 in the morning, or, getting up at 4 a.m. to fry up steaks and whatever for breakfast, because that's what they ate, But yeah, so it was, but like you said, the power of smell, I mean, can transport you back, man. 20, 30, 40 years, like instant. It's just, it's nuts.
It's audio too. Like you said, anything you may hear, like, will take you and smells. But I don't believe in ghosts. I do believe in spirit. I do believe in heaven and hell. And I do believe that there are good and bad forces that can weigh in on you. I don't believe in like, that used to be freaking Fred who lived here, and he stepped outside of his door one day, slipped on ice, and he's still here slipping on ice. That's what you hear him doing at night. No, I don't believe in that. Yeah. I do believe that, you can be visited and be touched by those who have passed on. I do. I don't think it's going to be one of those things where my brother's going to sit down next to me and we're going to have a conversation. If that's the case, then you might want to take me somewhere.
Yeah.
But, or I'm dead and he's taking me back, crossing the Rainbow Bridge, or maybe escorting me somewhere else. But I do believe that there are good and bad forces at play, and influences, and good and bad people who have those dark and light in them. I do believe that. I believe there are people who are very special. Some say, oh, they're angels. I just think they're very special, and they do have that extraordinarily gift of goodness and light in them, as well as bad. But I suspect that you will get that moment with Brad. I think right now Brad knows you're looking for it, so it's going to be one of those moments where you're least going to expect it, or maybe you're just on the precipice of just doing something in memory of him or something, or it's just going to be one day when you go walk out to grab the freaking mail. Something's going to happen. You're not going to expect it, and it's going to fucking hit you like a bolt of lightning. It will.
Knock on wood. Knock on wood.
Well, I mean, that's what I think. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting concept, and it's an interesting conversation, because as we start to get further down the line with technology, and everybody, you start to see fucking UFOs all the time, and all these leak stuff, you're starting to wonder and question, and then it's like, okay, well, now we got this new supercomputer, and are we in a matrix? Are we real, or is this a video game type scenario are we in? And I just think, I think a lot of it is distractions. It's people distracted. That's what these are meant to be. They're distractions. They're meant to distract us from the reality of why we're here, and who's responsible for us being here.
Yeah. And there's also that theory that it's we live in the multiverse, and every now and then another dimension blends with us just a little bit, and what we could be seeing is not necessarily a ghost, but another person from another time.
I'm interested in that theory. I think multiverse is still kind of in line with anything spiritual. I mean, I do believe that. When you talk about timeline stuff, but I don't know. I just I haven't had anything that's been so powerful enough to convince me otherwise.
Yeah.
I've seen this before, and it's like that somebody said the belief in in nothing is more powerful than the belief in something.
Yeah.
Have so it's pretty interesting.
That's it. And I always leave my options open. Like I said, there have been a couple of times in my life that, essentially I should have died, and twice, and I didn't, and I can't explain, like why I should be here, so it's always at like the back of, like way back in the corner, like that little faith room way back there, like that, it's like, hey, so I
do it from time to time. You have to. You have to. I mean, and then at one day when you go tap into it and you open up that door, it's not going to fucking close, man. It's not.
Yeah.
It just, that's all about timing too. A lot of things that you can't force people. They have to have that moment of clarity on their own.
Yeah.
So it's pretty fun stuff.
So do you see today, actually right before the show started, we're not making the penny anymore. Mm-hmm. The administration has announced or has told the Fed to halt the production of the penny, which I didn't realize it.
3 or 4 cents to make it, right?
Yeah, 3.5 cents. 78. They made 4 billion pennies last year. It cost them $78 million, but it was only $10 million in whatever the number was. We lost a whole lot of money. Then they talk about
good business sense and bringing out a product. That is not exactly what you would.
That's it. So I'd already seen some people online. It's like, and it goes back to Tlaib, she's the congresswoman from like Minnesota or
Yeah.
something.
Yep.
You know, that the interview she did the other day. Oh, we're worrying about, you know, hundreds of billions of dollars, which is 1% of this. It's like we shouldn't be. Yeah, no, you count your pennies. Count literally now. We're counting our pennies.
Mhm.
You know, I'm trying to save as much money as we can. You know, and people are like, oh, this is what we got to worry about. You know, and it's just like, you know, other companies or other countries. I think the EU, like the second year in the row, they haven't made like their penny or something.
Yeah.
Like they haven't discontinued it. Like they just haven't seen the need for it.
Yeah.
You know, so they just put a halt to the production. You know, we're not going to produce just for the sake of producing. You know,
No.
to keep that line moving.
Especially when you have
So
a deficit. I mean, that's the one thing anybody, whether you're in politics, whether you're left, right, whatever, you hate Trump, you love Trump. When you look at this is, and it's been said a million times over, if the country was a business, it would have filed for bankruptcy at least a freaking billion times, right?
yeah,
It's just run terrible. When you have someone who comes in and says, okay, we're freaking how much in debt? What, several several trillion dollars? I mean, it's pretty significant, right? Um,
yeah.
how like how do we get here? Like when if you were to open up your freaking banking account and you were freaking that far in debt relative to your income and your spending, you're going to look at it and go, how in
Well,
God's name?
you look at your credit card statement when it comes in the mail. You know, I look at it and you have a balance of whatever it is. Say you have a balance of $5,000. Your minimum payment is,
Mhm.
you know, $47, whatever it is, depending on your interest rate. And then it tells you if you make just the minimum monthly payments, it's going to take you 9 years to pay off this debt.
If you're
You know, how do
lucky.
you not, if you're lucky?
Lucky.
Yeah.
It's more
You
like
know,
20 years. If you make the minimum payment on something
yeah.
like over $10,000, it's going to take you like
Yeah, and
20 years.
then the next day you go out and you put more money on that. You charge you charge again. You know, and that just that's what our national debt is. We just paid at the end of last year $1 trillion. We put $1 trillion on our debt, but that was only to pay the interest.
Interest, yeah.
We never paid the
There's
principal.
nothing going towards the principal. And then when you're
You
just paying
know,
interest, you're just basically, that's you're paying the VIG, right? I mean, it's like
yeah.
it's like loan sharking. I mean, that's what it boils down to. So when you come in and you're like, okay, where are we spending our money? And you have someone come in, Elon Musk and his crew of 19-year-old brilliant dudes with laptops or whatever they call them, and they start
Yeah.
finding all this crazy spending, especially spending outside the country, and you're just like, okay, I'm starting to better understand where this is starting to rack up.
Yeah, and I understand we've made some cuts that we had to rip the Band-Aid off, so we had to
Mhm.
start somewhere. There are going to be some organizations that shouldn't be defunded, that we that deserve money, and I truly believe that we will fix that. We will. The people that need to get the money are going to get the
100%.
money, but we had to just say stop. So
The
you
thing is
tear
too
up
is it,
tear
it
up all the credit cards and just like let's regather our thoughts.
but it's
Where
also
are we?
reallocating that money, right? It's
Yeah,
let me put that differently. It's properly allocating that money because what
yeah,
what happens is this is a lot of these things, it's like bills, like when someone passes a bill and they're like, Kevin Shahan didn't vote on the Let's Save Babies Lives bill because he hates babies. And you're like, well, hold on for a second here. That's the name of the bill. But if you read through that bill, 20% of it is going towards saving babies. The other 80% is going towards freaking watering bushes in freaking Wyoming. You know,
it always comes back to the
pork,
bridge to nowhere.
right? So it's
The
the
bridge
pork
to nowhere.
in these bills.
Yeah,
Um, and it's the same with these expenditures. They're like, hey, this money is going towards cancer research, and then when you look at it, you're like, well, hold on for a second here. How much of it is really going? So I think there needs to be more deliberate. The money has to match the language that's within either the bill or the allocated funds. If it says This money's going towards pediatric cancer research, and it's $5 billion, and that $5 billion, all of it's got to go to pediatric cancer research, whether it's one facility or spread throughout. You can't have a certain percentage of it go there, and the other percentage of it go to Canada to save freaking, ice cubes or something.
Yeah.
That's just common sense. That's not politics. It just isn't politics.
Yeah, I don't understand why every every senator, you have a button, yes or no, on your desk. We take this 800-page budget or whatever, or under these bills, and you just vote on each one. Okay, this is the save the babies. This is what we're going to spend $1 billion, babies, yes or no, nothing else. Everybody, you vote yes or no. Okay, now
that shit there. That's why they call it.
Yeah, I know. That's it. Okay, so we have this bridge to nowhere. These people on this island, there's only 12 people on the island. They need a $200 million bridge. Yes or no? You click on that, and then you just keep going. I don't understand that. How about we buy everybody on the island a boat?
How expensive are boats? Exactly.
Well, let's buy everybody a boat and provide them with a lifetime amount of gas. What's that going to cost? $1 million?
Yeah.
Let's do that. If they really need,
that's politics, though. I mean, that's politics.
Yeah.
Listen, people always say, why do people get into politics if they're rich or if they're powerful? Listen, there's only one thing better than spending your money when you're rich, and that is spending other people's money.
That's it.
Having power, to say, "F you, Kevin. Hey, you know what, Jessica? We're friends. I got about $1 billion here from taxpayer money. I think I'm going to give you that $1 billion so you can freaking start your Harry Potter freaking, ice cream shop or whatever." I mean, we say these things, we simplify it, obviously more complicated than that, but really that is where anybody who's a taxpayer, if you're learning this, whether you like him or not, whether you're freaking Elon or not, or if you're seeing any of this money that's just being spent and just going elsewhere, and you're just like looking at it, if you're not looking at it going, damn, what, and even I heard somebody say, this has been going on for a long time, even during his first, run as president. It's just that, at times you don't have the freaking, the votes, you don't have the juice, you can't get people to open up the books. I've also seen a lot of these politicians on both sides of the fence too, just openly, like, they openly defy court orders, subpoenas. It's like, can you imagine if you got a subpoena in the mail and you're like,
yeah,
throw it in the garbage? God Almighty, you'd be freaking that'd last about 3.5 seconds before you got your ass reamed. But it's definitely playing on that whole realm in DC is playing on a different level. And the one thing that I'm really going to be interested in is when they start diving into Medicare and Medicaid, and they start looking.
I see. They just one of his team, they're developing an algorithm to detect the fraud, like double payments, triple payments, like payments of the exact same amount within a certain time frame. They were talking about patterns and things like that, and because like say a good scam artist, a good scam doctor, until they get caught, yeah.
And I'll tell you what, that's the one thing when you think about it, there's different criminal activities and stuff. When you talk about doctors that defraud, I mean, that's impacting the patient, that's impacting the payer, whether it's a private insurance or the government. And it's going to impact anybody who is also insured by that company, because if they're paying out more, they're going to raise your rates and jack it up, like auto insurance. So, it really becomes, quite a vile. And I spent 15 years in the pharmaceutical industry. And I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, as being a representative and management in that realm. And I can tell you, one of the things that a lot of folks really just despise, and that is insurance fraud. It's not one of those, hey, I was on the wrong street corner and you picked me up. I was just asking for directions, and I asked this girl. I didn't know she was a
Yeah, yeah.
prostitute, or I asked a drug dealer. It's like, no, they're researching. They know if you build dead people. They know if you freaking misbuild or overbuild or freaking falsified freaking procedures and shit. And they do their due diligence. And in order for them to bring, because remember, criminal charges is beyond a reasonable doubt in order to actually take an investigation to a charge. And that has to be determined upon the investigator given to the prosecutor to see how much evidence there is. And if there's enough evidence there beyond a reasonable doubt, then they will charge you. Then they'll show up at your house and arrest your ass, and then you got a legal battle to deal with. And that is in that industry. I can tell you, if you're a doctor and you are involved with insurance fraud, your colleagues, it is they it's like one of those situations where it's like now you've kind of badmouthed it and kind of cast a shadow on all of us because of what you've done.
Oh
It's
yeah,
a
you know,
it's a very trusted job because when you take the Hippocratic
yeah,
Oath, it doesn't matter if you're a fucking surgeon, if you're an internal medicine doctor, if you're a podiatrist, if you're what, you take that Hippocratic Oath, and that the first thing is do no harm, and
yeah.
that is very broad statement when it comes to doing no harm to folks, and that is
Yeah, and that's one thing as consumers that we hate as well, because we know that impacts us. Like you said, you know, when you see a doctor, you know, committing, you know, millions of dollars worth of insurance fraud, be it health insurance, or someone committing, you know, you know, we all know our friends, you know, or have we know a guy that, you know, got in a car accident, and you know, he's, you know, building a deck, but he's claiming a back injury, and we
mhm,
all irritate. Like, that's my rates. That's my rates that are
your
being
rate's gonna
affected
go up.
because of
Yeah,
you, because we all personally have a stake in that. You know, it's like my insurance is already high enough, and it went up again this year, and here
yeah.
you are, you know, and it's
South
yeah,
Carolina
so
is like everybody are in rates go up, and it's because this state is the highest uninsured state in the country. Highest
for
uninsured
for
motorists.
okay, for cars, yeah.
Yeah, the vehicles, the population here, they have one of the highest rates of uninsured motorists in South
How do you
Carolina.
in Florida? We take your driver's license. You have insurance. You lose your life. I mean, that doesn't mean
Not
shit
around
to some.
here. No.
Yeah,
Fuck
yeah, it doesn't mean
you.
shit to some people. You know
You
that
what was that show? It wasn't Cops, the other one that was on. The one most recently that they stopped televising. It was kind of like a Cops version of it. I
there's
can't
been a few.
remember.
Yeah, been a
It
few
was
of them.
most recent
Yeah,
though. But you know, one of the areas was down in Columbia. One of the areas that they always go. And it was just like, fuck. How many times like, oh, pulled them over. Yep, they're uninsured. You know, oh, we're gonna, you know, keep car can't drive. They just don't care. It's just
yeah. You know,
what do you
I mean, my company, you know, here in Florida or anywhere, you know, you lose your driver's license, they're notified. We get fired. You know, not fired. It's like you can't drive cars anymore. You can't do your job. We can't, you
right.
know, we can't insure you. We can't bond you.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't have a job here anymore, you know, because you know, the state of Florida, real, you know, like, so you don't have a lot, you don't have insurance, you don't have a license, and that just trickles down to every aspect of your life. So, but yeah, it's the Medicaid, Medicare, all that fraud, man. I'm interested to see what they find. You know, I know he's going to take a bath when they get to NASA. You know, in that whole Artemis program. You know, I see it coming now when they nix that program, and they're like, oh, here we go. Elon, he has a stake in this. SpaceX. You know, they're not going to tell the American public that, you know, NASA wants out. They've been trying to get out of this program for years, but it's congressionally mandated
Yeah.
that they continue to dump this money into this program that is failing. You know, every time they launch a rocket, it's $4 billion that lands in the ocean that they have to start over for the
Yeah.
next launch. $4 billion. Elon is launching rockets for $8 million.
And then catch
You
it.
know, so yeah, and then catching them. You know, that's the reason why he can get the price down. But as soon as they nix this program, you're going to see shit storm across sea. What'd we tell you? He's in it for his own pocket, but that program needs to fucking go away. We need to cut our losses. We're $20 billion into this program. We've launched one fucking rocket,
it exposes the reality of some of these programs. And like you said, if it's congressionally bound and you're taking money and you're just throwing billions of dollars into the ocean, and you have a guy who can say, okay, this is what it's going to cost you, and after we launch your rocket, it's going to land right back where it fucking took off.
Oh, exactly.
And then we'll do some maintenance on it. We're going to fuel it back up again, and guess what we're going to do? We're going to launch it up again, and it's going to come back. We're going to catch it again.
That's it. But then when you have the agency itself that has publicly said, we need to stop this. We need to stop this, but we're not allowed to get out. We have to keep going, all because some congressman, in Louisiana, that's where his constituents are, that, yes, a couple hundred people, 1,000 people are going to lose their jobs, but it was one of those pork bills, that was slid in there that, nothing they can do about it.
No.
Yeah. So we got to keep.
It'll be interesting. Yeah, the insurance is going to be like, it's anybody.
That's going to be, yeah.
Because I tell you, I did a couple of years stint in hospice, and we were affiliated with a home health company, and I could tell you, that's another one too. Holy fuck! You talk about some serious fraud. I mean, there's dudes who just have like these small home health companies. And they're billing for like oxygen and billing for this, and it's like millions upon millions of dollars, and they ain't shipping out shit,
they're giving. My neighbor, his wife, before she went into a nursing home, where she ultimately passed. She was, could immobile anywhere anymore. But they sent her like $1,000 little jazzy scooter, and this is part of. You get this free. Like she never just sat there. It sat and it just collected dust. She couldn't use it. She couldn't get out of bed to get on it, but someone made money, Now there are a lot of people that deserve those, that can't get them. And that irritates every time I see a story about someone that can't get a mobility scooter. I always think about my neighbor, like, she got one and could not use it.
Yeah.
And then when she passed, he donated it, but it's just like, it's who made money on that? Was it the doctor? Was it the scooter place? Someone got money from someone got money from the government, and it's like, oh, hey, we gave this out to someone in need, please, and here's the bill for this scooter. And it's just,
you're going to see a lot of that. A lot of these home health durable medical equipment companies, the pricing of those are out ridiculous. You talk about the pricing of drugs. Wow, that's going to blow your mind over what's being charged for those things. And I think the other thing that's going to be interesting is you're talking about like the scooter and all these things is just, I think you're going to see like a lot of these little guys, that's going to like pile up a lot of these littler companies, that are out there doing this thing. There's a show that we watched called Bad Monkey, and it's on Apple, and it's got what's his face in it, the guy from Wedding Crashers, tall dude,
Vince Vaughn.
It's got Vince Vaughn in it. It's really good, great show. And in that show, the guy who's kind of the bad dude in it, they do something very similar like that. It's like they have this business that they run a building, and it's like they just charge, and then they fake ship things all over the place. And then when people come to investigate them, they're like, oh, we didn't get our inventory in yet. We're here to audit you. Well, we didn't get our inventory yet. It's kind of crazy how you see that. And then his buddy's a doctor writing prescriptions for this stuff. And it gets to the point where they just kind of do this. They milk the system. They make a couple $1 million. They close up shop and they move on. It's a big scam, but If you know, a lot of these folks, if you know how to do it and you know the ropes and you know how to bill and you know the loopholes, you know, a lot of these folks make some quick money and then they just disappear somewhere.
You know, and the sad thing is there's so many legitimate companies out there, you know, and
100%.
and once this stuff starts coming down the line, it's going to force the legitimate companies like that. You know, there's going to be more, not focus on them, but it's like, okay, so we got these 2 or 3 companies have been scammed. Now we're going to make everybody else do all this extra paperwork, and it's like, hey, I've always done this legitimately, like our good buddy Cigar Craig Vanderslice. He works for a company that does VAs, and I know I've seen him like assembling the scooters, giving that, for the veterans on the VA side. And I mean, he talked about like all the paperwork and everything, and it's just got to be meticulous. And sadly, like I said, it'll be companies like that like, oh, hey, you got to do more paperwork now. We got to make sure it's, because there's 1 or 2 companies defrauding everybody.
Man.
Now,
Doctors
now,
that doctors that freaking that scam that's why honest good doctors despise those doctors who are freaking
that's it, because it gives everybody a black eye, like you said. It's just
and more paperwork, then their insurance goes up because this happens, and it's a ripple effect. It's a ripple effect because, as everybody knows, they look at it. A lot of these guys, they're fucking narcissists. They justify, their rationale and reasoning for doing this type of billing, and ripping off this and ripping off that, and it's free money, and it's like, listen, it's like the matter we talked about, right? You just can't get money and not have someone have to pay for it. It's got to come from somewhere. You may think you deserve it, but if you take this money and it's not rightfully yours, someone is paying for it, and you just got to follow the trail. That's what we talked about, a lot of these freaking programs, and it is a direct line to the taxpayers. You talk about auto insurance. It's a direct line to the people who have had auto insurance for freaking like me. I've had auto insurance, knock on wood, accidents, God, I can't. I mean, I think I rear-ended a girl, like, and just I was working at Enterprise Rent a Car, so that was covered. But that was like I was 20 something. I was like 30 some years ago. You figure it's like your cell phone. You add up how much you pay per month, and then you multiply it over the years. You think about how much money you've paid in, and had to endure the rates going up because of people who are being dishonest. The people who either there's going to be good people getting car accidents, and that happens, but a lot of the dishonesty, a lot of people who are uninsured motorists who are causing accidents, the people who just who don't give a shit, those are the ones who are jacking up the rates. And I'm sitting there going, if I paid X amount of per month on average, multiply that by freaking 12, and then multiply that by 30, how much money did I pay into auto insurance? Bless you. And how many claims have I submitted in that time frame? But heaven forbid if you paid in, how much insurance do you pay a month? Do you know roughly?
And for people listening to the podcast, I muted my mic. I sneezed. That's why Kerr said, "Bless you." But
I know he did not. I just bless Kevin on a regular basis.
Yeah, I know.
He deserves it.
So I just paid our auto insurance the other day, February 2nd. And it was $1,700 and like 50 cents for 6 months for 2 cars. So
you're about $291 a month, right? So you figure over a period of time, maybe you probably paid an average of $200 a month for your insurance, right?
Yeah.
And that that's $2,400 a year, and you multiply that by 30. That's like, okay, I paid in $72,000 over 30 years. If your average was $200, thinking that you're paying more now than you did 30 years ago. How many claims have you had?
Yeah, me, I can't even. Like I said, I got T-boned years ago, and
that was them.
That was that. Yeah, that was on them, and God, I don't even. It's been so long. I don't know. I don't know. 20 years.
Let's say even
Yeah.
like you had one claim and it was maybe $1,500, right?
Yeah.
$1,500, you paid in $72,000, and I guarantee you after that claim, your insurance got jacked up like that because of that.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's crazy when you think about that, and you think about the money that's being spent and the money
Yeah.
that
Same.
that you're paying in, and
Same with homeowners insurance.
health insurance. I
Health
mean,
insurance. I'm going through workers' comp, and I know they nitpick because of all the scammers out there on workers' comp, But here I am, legitimate injury, and I'm being denied this, denied that. They nitpick absolutely everything, and it's like I have an MRI. I have multiple MRIs. Like I'm injured. That shows up, not like some guy that says I have back pain.
yeah,
Back pain doesn't show up on an MRI, and they know that,
yeah.
and that's, so yeah, it's, but yeah, health insurance. Oh, there's a,
Whoever has, I mean, I've had multiple carriers over the years and stuff like that, as we all have. But I'm like, how much money I've paid into health insurance and how much I've used.
now me, I make out on that end. My company has very good health insurance. It's just me on my policy, and my insurance company, I use more health insurance
Yeah, I know
every year than I, because I make sure I go to the dentist every 6 months. I go to the
freckles.
dermatologist,
Yeah,
the eye doctor. I get my physicals. I get everything else. So I use more health insurance than I pay. So but there are so many people that don't.
I don't, and I just over the last couple of years, I mean, I've been going to doctors more, and I'm like, even after how many years, I was like, I get sick once a year, if I'm lucky, when I was younger. Not even that. I think I was like in my late 20s, and I went to the doctors, and they're like, the last time you were here is 5 years ago to the day, and I had like pneumonia, but I don't, even now it's like, okay, we got some cholesterol meds for you. Here you go. Your blood pressure is fine. Everything else is fine. You got some high cholesterol. You went in for your colonoscopy. You don't got to come back for 10 years. You're good to go. So these insurances, like, like, I don't know if it was Chappelle or someone, you say it's called in case shit happens, because
Yeah.
most times shit ain't gonna happen, and you just keep paying out that money. But it's definitely something that you need that you want when you need it. But a lot of times it's a lot of money going out, and more money going out than you're actually spending, and that's
Yeah,
with
my
auto
health.
insurance and everything
Yeah.
else.
Oh yeah, my insurance company, in which I saw the ad during the Super Bowl for Teladoc. My insurance company, promotes, oh, hey, you've got Teladoc. It's $50 for Teladoc. And I'm like, yeah, my copay at my family physician's $25.
Mhm.
I'll go to my family doctor, who's a friend of mine, cigar smoker. He sees me,
It's a
it's not a
convenience
Teladoc,
store. That's a
Yeah,
convenience store, right?
yeah,
You
like
get,
I go in and I see a doctor that can see how, like there are times I've walked in and he's like, well, you're walking a little funny. And I'm like, am I? Like, I didn't notice that, not, he's like, hey, maybe you should go see your chiropractor.
yeah.
You might need an adjustment or something. That Teladoc, he isn't going to know that,
No,
so
Teladoc
yeah.
is like, that's the convenience store of, I mean, it's nice if you don't have the time and you're like, hey, I got a cold, I need a prescription. I get that, but it's
Yeah.
also taking advantage of the fact that, that you are too busy and that it is convenient. I could drive down and buy milk at the gas station and pay 30%, 50% more than at the grocery store, but that's the reason why they call them convenience stores. They're
Yeah.
convenient, and you're paying for the convenience of getting it readily available. So, yeah, I've never used Teladoc. I think Jen has. I mean, I
Yeah.
tried
I
it
mean,
once, and like I think I tried it once when I was sick, and um, I, they never called me, so I was like, whatever. And I think a couple days later, I got better.
yeah. There are times that, like I ran into, it is probably going back. God, it had been 5, 6, 7. I got like strep throat like 8 times in 1 year. And it was just the strangest things. Like Teladoc would have been fine because I to go down to my family doctor, just for them to prescribe some antibiotics, I mean, things like that would have been fine. I remember going to my last family doctor. And I probably saw her for 5 or 6 years, and I only met her like twice because it was always a PA that I always saw.
Yeah.
Never could see the fucking doctor. And the PA almost killed me when I got MRSA. Now that was a whole big
I remember
shit.
you telling me that.
Yeah, whole big shit storm. Doctor comes in like, who prescribed all of this? Your PA did. Oh yeah, none of that gets rid of MRSA. Maybe he should go back to school. But I remember seeing him one day, and he's on his laptop going through this list of all of my ailments. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And then he comes back. He goes, "Are you sure you don't have diarrhea?" Yeah. I wouldn't lie about that. Like he asked me like twice.
I'd be aware of that.
Yeah. Are you sure you don't have diarrhea? Yeah, I'm kind of sure I have diarrhea. And then he's putting all this info in,
and the computer says you should.
Yeah, I know, but that's when he goes, and he goes, and you have, and he hits enter, and he's like, and there's like this pause. He's like, strep throat, and I go, are you on WebMD? I asked him that. It's like, but yeah, are you on WebMD? Well, what do we got? What do we got going on here? But yeah, I always remember that. Are you sure you don't have diarrhea?
That's
I mean, yeah, maybe we have a different, of what diarrhea is. But either way, I've pooped once today.
That's like a skit, that's like a skit where it's like, and are you sure you don't have diarrhea? Because the computer says you should. Because, really, this is okay. Hold on, I'm waiting for it. Yeah, I think you got.
Yeah, because if you had diarrhea, you'd have MRSA. Because you don't have diarrhea, I believe you have cancer. Wait, what? Wait, what? Diarrhea is the sticking point? It's just
Yeah, that's crazy. It's like press your luck, no whammies. You just kind of plug it in, you hit, you hit the button, and you just hope that you don't get a whammy.
Yeah,
I need a match. I need a match.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, but yeah, that's yeah, and then we got the little, which I Jessica's used them. My buddies at work use them, like the little I don't know what they're called. Like they're like the little convenience stores. You go in, you don't set an appointment.
Dock in a box. It's kind of
dock in a box is what the term I heard. But yeah. So I've had some friends that have gone to those, and
they're called
just
minute clinics. I think CVS.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's it.
Minute clinics. Then there are other clinics.
Yeah, it's like Medi Place around here is what they call
Medi clinics.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some insurance companies that where you'll pay a little bit more to go to those. There's like I said, CVS used to have minute clinics where it's literally a PA or nurse practitioner sitting in a closet, and they could just do the basic stuff. And okay, well, we're going to get you some antibiotics. The Medi clinics that you can go around here, they actually they're full functioning. I mean, when I cut the tip of my finger off with the desk lighter or desk cutter a few years ago, which was fun. That's what I went to. I went down to the Medi clinic because I saw the ER had like a 4-hour wait, and I'm like, listen, I just want this to stop bleeding. If you just gotta, if you just, if you just start up your vehicle and let that back pipe heat up, you can just press it against that, because they did eventually cauterize it. Because it was the tip of my finger that I cut this part.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You can't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's blood. I've hacked off like at work, but that is some blood it's like opening a valve,
But what was weird is when it was that dual side Calibri, the side is V, the other side straight cut, and I'd just gotten some really bad news, and I wanted to smoke a cigar, and my head was not in the game, and when I I put this finger here, and boom.
Yeah,
and
I
looked at my finger, and it was like flat, and it was bright white. Then all of a sudden, it was just like, and Kevin, I'll never forget this. I was outside this medic clinic, and I'm like, I got my hand wrapped in gauze. The funny part was I had to do a presentation, so I wrapped it up and I did a presentation, and then went to the medic clinic. So yeah, that was also pretty fun. I'm outside, like trying to get my insurance card, which this is also the sad part. We don't use insurance a lot. I'm like, I don't know. So I'm like trying to get on the app, and I'm just like bleeding all over my phone. I'm outside just bleeding all because it's like gumming through the gauze, and it's like you would have thought like I nicked like a major artery or vein or something. But I finally got them, and the girl inside just like, yeah, we just gotta, need your insurance because if not, it's $200 if you get your insurance, you got copay. So I finally got them my insurance, everything to get my, copay there. But in the process, my phone looked like it should have been a freaking at a crime scene. There's that much blood all over it. I had blood all outside and in there, and they finally came in. I was just like, they're like, well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna give you, we got to give you a tetanus shot, and then we're gonna numb it up. And I said, dude, just give me the tetanus shot and just cauterize it. Don't just do it. Just I don't want to go through the process of numbing it up. Just do it. And that was my cutting off my finger story.
So my fidget spinner for the longest time, little fidget device, was my Cigar XO.
Ooh.
And then even to this day, I'll put my finger in it and I just press the sides and I just use that as a fidget spinner. And I don't know why I do it. And I just know one day that someone's going to come through the door, or I'm going to do it when I'm walking, and I'm going to trip and I'm going to cut like an inch of and I don't know why I do it. I do it on both hands, and I just put a little pressure on my finger, and I don't know why I do it.
That is going to end up bad. So we're going to reference this show when that occurs.
Yeah, I don't do it as much anymore because I always use the Dunbarton one, and my finger, I can only get the tip of my finger in. So
that's better. That's so much better.
I'd rather lose the tip than an inch, because with the Cigar, I
put
it
down. Dumbest things I've ever heard.
Because with the Cigar, I put it down to the first knuckle. So at least with the
yeah, but you got bone to stop that though, bro. You got nothing. You got nothing to stop that, man. That cutter, that Dunbarton cutter.
Yeah.
That's
it's a razor, literally a razor blade in there.
That Cigar cutter that your bone will stop that. That's not going to cut through bone unless Jessica comes running in and jumps off the top rope and lands on it.
Yeah,
that Dunbarton cutter, you might as well think about your tip of your finger. I was actually surprised. I was lucky I didn't have my finger in like this, because I did the old like really hard cut on the cigar. And it would have definitely done more damage but it was just the tip. Just the tip.
Yeah.
It fucking bled like a motherfucker. God almighty, it was horrible. But anyways, we're at the 2-hour mark.
Yeah, man, we're at 2:07. So that was a good show. We got we'll be back again next Monday. I got to reach out to my buddy Tim Long, Cigar Show Tim, and see about getting him on next month for and I tapped that. He was just at TPE, so that'll be pre-PCA. So be a good conversation, because I definitely want to bring up cigar boxes. I think it's one of maybe I'll see if Brian wants to join us. I was watching the KMA Talk Radio this weekend. They had Rafael Nodal on, and they were talking about cigar boxes and everything else. And I'm, I don't know. I'm into I don't like the fancy boxes because I throw them away, whatever. That's a topic I wrote down. So I want to get into there.
Yeah. I want to talk about cigar boxes, and I want to talk about cigar testers, draw testers.
Yeah.
I heard that.
How does draw tester works on an already rolled cigar?
I'm curious. I realize in order for a draw tester to work, there has to be 2 open ends. So
and I would think, which I will have to call a manufacturer, but does it affect if a wrapper is on there? Because binders, obviously you can roll your own cigars at the house. A binder is also more porous than a wrapper. That's why when you sometimes you put a wrapper on a cigar and it's got a nick in it, you can't get a good airflow, so you got to put a piece of tape on it or something. So even if you cut the end of a cigar off and you're testing it, is that going to tell you as much as if the wrapper wasn't on the cigar as well?
I figure if I have 10,000 cigars and my goal is to test 100 of them, I'm going to test them by smoking them, not by freaking buying a couple $1,000 draw.
And if you're gonna test 10% of them, are those customers going to be mad when they get a cigar that's already cut? You know, because you order 10,000 cigars and you cut.
Well, that's my
10%.
point.
Yeah,
Are you
cut.
selling them cut, or
Yeah.
are you smoking them? Because then at that point, if you're 10%, then are you just docking that as a loss? Or are you going to roll that loss into the remaining cigars and have a more expensive cigar because you cut 100 of them and decided to test them?
Yeah. Do you sell 5 packs of cut cigars? I don't know.
I don't know. I am curious about that, because then it's like, well, what if I get a pack of uncut cigars and mine just happens to be one that draws shitty because it wasn't part. There's a fucking million questions I have about that. I do.
Yeah.
I do. I'm morbidly curious.
So, all right. Thank you everybody for joining us for another episode of the Puff and Ponder podcast. Hopefully we have entertained you tonight in some way. Hopefully you've learned something. If not, yeah, tune in next week. Maybe we'll learn you next week. I agree. Test by smoking. Yeah, that's what that's what I do.
And
test.
And we're close to a song. We're close to an intro and outro theme song.
Yes. We are close. Kara is working on that diligently. I have given up on my side. What
was it, the Palmcast, or what was it?
Partcast.
Partcast.
Yeah. It's maybe next week I'll have the cigar, the song, the few cigar songs loaded up. And then
we should have people vote on it, because we got to get, because some were good, some were eh.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do that. We'll have a giveaway. We'll load them up. I don't know. We'll figure something out.
Some of them sound like you and I should have definitely been wearing cowboy hats and walking off into the sunset together.
Yeah, holding hands. Don't forget that.
Well, that's fine. I mean, I think you're a good guy, but yeah, it was actually a catchy tune. It was.
Yeah.
I just intro.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
That's it. So, all right, everybody. We'll see you next.